Rodriguez. Hello, Alicia.
Hi, y'all. So great to be
Yay.
here. Love all the things you always do, Teresa. And I'm so excited to check out Tough Love
Yeah, it's
because I
good.
haven't checked that one yet. But I have used Teresa's HR advisor GPT that she built, I don't know, a year ago at this point.
Okay.
So
A long time ago.
highly recommend. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd love for everybody to give a applause, a celebration, a clap, a high five, use your reaction tools. I want to hear the noise for Alicia. She's taken her time, energy, and effort to be here, and it means so much to me. One of the reasons I really wanted to highlight and share Alicia's story, if you will, which sounds very dramatic, is because, Alicia is like a lot of us. For some of my work experience, I worked in large enterprise companies, had big teams surrounding me. The last 5 to 8 years I worked in HR, I was either a team of 1, 2, or 2.5. And to leverage AI in the way that Alicia has, I think is such a wonderful story to tell. Alicia started her career as an educator, as a teacher, moved into the HR space, which I know some of you may have also done. I have a lot of friends who've made that transition. And I love her commitment to serving her organization, Live Blocks, in the best way possible as a small team. Her commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and access. And so I really, really appreciate you being here, Alicia. To kick us off, speaking of your background in education, you know, how do you think that experience in the classroom and with the environment of administration and things like that, how do you think that experience shaped your work leveraging AI or how you see AI?
Yeah, so I had the privilege of working with high schoolers mostly in the first part of my career in education. And when you are working with high schoolers, they tell you very quickly if you are on the right path and if things are clicking or not. And when you have an audience that is so critical, it makes you really attuned to thinking about how are other people going to receive things and how am
Mm,
I going to make sure that I'm going to fulfill my purpose for what I want to get, like where the end goal is, like what the backwards plan is, and also make it engaging. And so I think in general, when we think about introducing tools for and encouraging our teams to use AI, it's really understanding them as a user, what the role is, what the responsibilities are, what their challenges are, and really thinking about what's in it for them so that you can then translate what you're suggesting or recommending or using for yourself in a way that's going to resonate with them as individuals. And so I think that has been a huge learning for me of how I've translated that. I think the other two uh, pieces in education that were drilled into me in grad school were and I just said it, what's my purpose? So always thinking about when you are using an AI tool, what is your purpose for using it? Do you want it to be a creator or a collaborator or a consultant? And so you talked about this with your GPT, like how are you setting it up to play that role? I think also about, another piece that we talk a lot about in education is I always thought about how am I making my students do the heavy lifting? So basically, that means that I'm not the one telling them what to do. I want them to actually do the heavy lifting, to do the thinking. And what's really interesting that I found in the last 2 months or so was I started to find myself, as many of us do, where I was just going to Claude or GPT or whatever to just be like, hey, I need to think about this. What do you think about that? And I was using it more as the author, as a creator. And what I started feeling for myself was that I wasn't doing the heavy lifting anymore. I missed really getting into the deep work, like turning on my brain in that way. And I think many of you probably saw that study that came out with just like 50 people or something of just like how how we're using AI could be changing the way that we're thinking or approaching problems. And I started to find that happening to me. So again went back to my purpose. Nope, I need to be the author, and I want an editor. Um, and I wanted to do the heavy lifting. And so, as an example, I recently took my head of GTM's ideas and plan for their offsite in Paris with our CEO, who is based in Paris. I'm in New York City. And I took the first stab at looking at her agenda and thinking about like, I don't think this is the right way to leverage this. I think here is, what this is what the purpose is. And then I went to GPT and I said, hey, as an experienced leader in GTM at a tech company doing an offsite, if this is the purpose and these are the goals, is this agenda in service of that? And being able to then go back and forth and refine. And so even just making that switch of when in the process I use a tool has really helped.
I love that. I think, Alicia, that it is about begin with the end in mind. I become a real evangelist for Stephen Covey's 7 Habits. I used to listen to it literally on road trips when I went back and forth from my first job as a trainer, where I traveled all the time.
We taught it to our kids.
Yeah, right. It's begin with the end in mind. I will say this caveat, that as you go through that process, if you do start to feel like I'm becoming a little over reliant, I think it does go back to the outputs you're looking for. Because as you said, there are times when I need it to just be the administrator. Like, it can do the things that don't require my deep thought, that I do need to just kind of train it, get it to the point where it can do, and let it do. There's a second piece of, I want it to fulfill a little bit more and broaden out my thinking, be the creative brainstormer that I just can't do independently. And then, you want it to be the support. And so I think it's identifying, to your point, that what is our objective? What are we trying to get out of it? And also, how and when do we insert AI into our own processes?